ensure every child with a disability thrives by getting their access needs met. We've got a trusted ally by our side. Easter Seals provides children and families the foundation for lifelong success through early learning programs, skills training, and prep for college and career. That's my Easter Seals. Make it yours. Join us at easterseals.com.
850 strong. WGSX Lynn Haven, WTOT, WG71DN Mariana. Powered by Pepsi. ESPN Northwest Florida. Rise and shine, campers. It's a brand new day.
What a lovely morning.
Good morning, starshine.
You seem happy this morning.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming in early.
The Coach James Hale Show is live and local. Live from the J. Michael Studio. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Get past the people, get past the hitman.
Rain, rain, rain.
It's only raining between here and Destin. So it really doesn't count, does it? That 20% is right there.
Yeah, that 20% is here.
Well, and it magically stops, when Ethan Boyd comes in with food, so.
It did slow down a little bit when I was trying
Thank you for doing that.
Bringing in this bag of sunshine.
It did slow down a little bit, I agree.
Me, Smitty, Jim show up, just raining on our heads. Ethan shows up and the clouds part. More of that A&M mojo. Brian Haddad sitting in Tuesday morning, Coach James Hale show. James Hale is away again because he worked a full week last week, and he deserves some time off.
That's right.
But
he's alligator hunting.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, we may get to a honorary Coach James Hale nature report later in the show.
Pit bulls, bison, lions.
I did see. All right, so let's get into it. Let's get into the nature report right away. I did see the story about the Turkish bear that was high on honey.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
No, I didn't see that one.
It looked like your good buddy in college passed out over there after a long bender.
After a bender.
Now, I saw the two pictures of him. One, he was on the ground. He was all laid back, spread eagle, high as a kite. You could tell he was high because he reminded me of my uncle. But then you saw a picture of him in the back of a pickup truck. I don't know which come first, if they found him in the truck and put him in the grass so that they could leave, or if they found him in the grass and put him in the truck so that they could haul him somewhere where he could get some drug help.
Let me tell you, I've spent 95% of my life on the Redneck Riviera, and that's not the first time I've found myself in the back of a pickup truck.
Probably looking like that.
I can relate to this poor Turkish bear.
No, I missed that one completely.
No, but that is our nature update for the morning without Coach Hale. But
sponsored by Turkish Hash.
Exactly.
Yes,
Ethan Boyd from Rudy's. How you doing, Ethan?
I'm doing good. How are you?
And old Jim Barant. The Yankee, as Coach Hale calls you. How we doing?
Look how snappy he looks with his new hairdo.
Got my hair cut, man. I was getting kind of shaggy.
Didn't recognize him when he came in.
You got to impress the ladies. I get it. Well, let's get right into it now that we've done our Turkish bear update for the day. Miles Brennan, LSU quarterback, was entering his 6th season with LSU. He's actually the last commit from the Les Miles era.
Wow.
Of course, Miles ended up getting let go before he started at Orgeron, right. But he committed while Les Miles was the coach. That's how long Miles Brennan, and for a long time was thought to be the next star quarterback at LSU. He was going to be the heir apparent to Joe Burrow. Then he had an injury early in the 2020 season. 2021 season, he didn't even get to play because he had a freak accident while fishing, of all things. But Miles Brennan came into this season with hopes of competing for the starting job. Became apparent he was not going to be the starter, and Miles Brennan has now announced that he is actually leaving football, which you can understand maybe after 6 years and not wanting to transfer on or something. A lifelong LSU fan. I think he's from St. Stanislaus in Mississippi, which I want to say is over in Bay St. Louis in that area near Gulfport. But yeah, it's an interesting situation. Injuries, everything. Transfers with Jaden Daniels coming in from Arizona State, providing more competition. I think Garrett Nussmeier was there. Of course, last year, after he was injured, Max Johnson was the starter. Now Max Johnson's on at Texas A&M. So it's a weird kind of deal. But what do you guys think about, everybody else kind of does the transfer thing or sticks it? What do you think about his decision to step away? You understand it? Think it's a good move? What do we think?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense with him. It's the injury stuff, and then him obviously being around that long. It's kind of crazy that he got recruited by Les Miles. So just kind of crazy to think about. But yeah, I remember whenever he did get recruited, he was a big name, and he never won the job. Then Joe Burrow came down, so just he kind of got transfers kind of came in over him and injuries, and he tried to leave. He entered his name in the portal earlier this year, then took his name out. So I mean, I get the whole thought it was gonna be me. Now it's not. Maybe had an injury flare at practice recently, and he's just like, it's just not worth it anymore. And
Right.
It kind of happens, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. When I saw he was a 6-year guy, that kind of explains it right there. Got replaced by Joe Burrow. And actually, when they were ahead by so many, and he came in, he actually played fairly well. Like when Joe Burrow was there, it's like, this guy's going to be okay. But it just never really panned out for him. It just never really worked out.
Yeah. There was always a lot of hype around him. His skill set was very solid. Now, an interesting part of this story, beyond someone not going to the transfer portal and actually just essentially retiring from football, is the NIL component.
Right.
So this was seen as potentially the heir apparent starter at LSU. So obviously that commands some NIL interest. And according to sources, he had NIL deals with Smoothie King, Raising Cane's, that's a chicken fingers kind of place, Game Coin, Small Sliders, and of course, Hollingsford Richards Ford, because of course you have to have that one.
Yeah.
But because of the way, we always say there's no rules and thing, there actually are as it relates to NIL. I don't know how many of them are actually followed, but there are some rules. Excuse me. You cannot base an NIL contract on performance. It has to be purely on likeness and your endorsement. So it cannot be done per NCAA rules and all that on performance. So, it can't be like incentive-based, if you will.
He's not going to have any likeness if he's not wearing a uniform.
Well, he is actually. He is able to keep these NIL deals.
Wait a minute now.
Uh-huh.
I thought you had to be a player on an active player on a team, rather, in a uniform to have an image.
Yeah. When he signed the deal, he was. And this is going to be, and this is why this is interesting.
Wow.
Because will this, or does it matter, or will this affect potentially companies' willingness to go as high on these NIL deals as they have before? And the interesting part of it is, if it was strictly a business ROI decision, I think it would. But we have to understand that not every bit of this money is spent with an expectation of direct return on investment. Sometimes this money is spent to gain access to the program. For example, if the owner of Hollingsworth Ford is a big LSU booster, he may not be giving money with an expectation of a direct advertising versus income. He may be giving that money as well to gain more access to the LSU program in general.
For Miles Brennan, I would say that's exactly what it is right there. There'll be bigger fish to fry down the road.
So
I didn't know.
I mean, what do you guys think about? I mean, do you think it's going to slow anything down? Because this won't be the last time you invest a lot of money in somebody who may not ever play.
Well, I think it's one of those things I think it's, and it already has been, but I think it'll be very much so. It's just kind of like the NFL, but it's very top end heavy. Your top players, your big quarterbacks, big receivers, big defensive players, big names are going to get the most money. And I think that's why you see very like the small deals for the linemen, the 10,000 here, 10,000 there. And I mean, people thought Miles Brennan was going to be a starter, so they went heavy on him for the NIL deals, and now he's not. So I'm surprised, like you said, that he doesn't have to be an active member on the team to get it. That he doesn't have to forfeit it, but that's wild.
Yeah, that really surprises me. I would have never guessed that.
Yeah, no, it's going to be really interesting, and it's almost we've kind of talked about sports memorabilia and all that market. The hot rookies are always the big thing. Well, the quarterbacks on these big college teams, it's almost like you're prospecting on them if you're a company. It's everybody wants to have the guy who ends up being the starter, and
their rookie card.
And it's almost the same thing with these NIL deals, because if you do have a likeness deal with the face of LSU, especially LSU, I mean, that is not just a Baton Rouge team. That is a state of Louisiana pride school. And, that's a big deal in the state. So if you've got that person, but obviously the situation is slightly different, but it's like Quinn Ewers at Ohio State.
Right.
Well, the guy made $1 million for 2 snaps.
Yep.
Or whatever he did.
Yeah, 2 or 3.
Yeah. And that's assuming he got the full payout and everything like that. But all the reports were that. So I don't know if this will slow some of these companies down. But, man, the more we start hearing about cases like this, got to give them some kind of pause. You would
sure think so.
No wonder we got like 85,000 more IRS people looking into this stuff. You know?
Well,
because aren't those tax deductible? Those sponsorships and
I don't believe they're tax deductible. I mean, it would be
not
income
a tax
earned.
deduction to be a what's the word I'm looking for here? Brain fart. Not a sponsor, but for a college. For your college.
Oh, booster.
Booster, yeah.
No, because your contract is with player, not with the college. And
But
so
what if you're
essentially
just a regular booster, though?
that could be different if you're giving
That's
to
what I was
a
thinking.
tax exempt organization like a state school or something like that. But that's not what this money is. So I mean, technically, it's just an ad buy in reality. So I don't know. I thought this was interesting, and of course, it's a shame the kid never got a chance to really show what he could do, because I do think he was really talented, but certainly understand it. I wonder if it'll have any ripple effects on NIL, but as long as there's eyeballs on the college football product, people will overspend for it, I'm sure.
Oh,
so.
no question.
Absolutely. So some other news that came out yesterday regarding college football, the locations have been announced for the 2025 and 2026 national championship games. So in 2025, again, this will be for the 24 season, we're going to go back to Atlanta. Mercedes-Benz Stadium is expected to be announced as the host. Now, this game was originally set for Las Vegas, which would have been phenomenal, but there was another convention, a large convention in Vegas, and they couldn't reach an agreement on the ability to do both. So that game is expected to be moved to Mercedes-Benz in Atlanta, which was the host of the 2018 game where Alabama beat Georgia. And then 2026, going to Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, who just hosted the 2021 national championship game. So good venues there that have obviously run the national championship before. Good for us because they're located, in the Southeast. Now, this year's championship game will be at SoFi Stadium out there in L.A., in Inglewood. Right. And then next year's game, 2024 game, will be at NRG Stadium in Houston. So that'll be interesting, too. So 3 games in a row, essentially, in the Southeast.
Yep. I think they're trying to say something there.
Yeah, it should be. Because there should be at least one SEC team in those games.
Exactly.
So. But, hey, that's good for you, Jim, too, because if Ohio State makes it, you don't have as far to drive.
Yeah. I don't think I'll be going.
Well, not for
let's see,
not for the rates.
$4,000 a ticket. Yeah. $8,000 for a room. Nah, I'll watch on TV.
Yeah, but you don't have to spend $1,000 to fly. So there you go. But that'll be something else. So, I mean, I thought it was actually neat that they had considered Vegas in the first place. They were so afraid of sports in general were afraid of Vegas for a long time because of being associated with the gambling. Now you've got the NFL franchise there. You've got the new stadium right down there at the foot of the Strip. I've seen it. It's beautiful. And just the ability to have those events there with all the daily fantasy and the embracing of the sports gambling, I think is a good thing. And Las Vegas is a heck of a venue for an event.
Yeah. They've been talking about the NBA going there too, so.
Yeah. Well, that'll be something else. Well, I'll tell you what else is something. J. Michael's Restaurant. J. Michael's right down there on Thomas Drive. I tell you, yeah, this week you won't see him, but usually you can catch Coach Hale there at least once a day because it has the best seafood, the coldest beer you're going to find anywhere down here on the coast. Get out there. You will have a great time. Make sure you get there early for lunch because it packs up quickly. Blue Sky Express Car Wash. After all this rain, pulling everything out of the trees under your car, I know where you need to be. You need to be at Blue Sky Express Car Wash, right there on Back Beach Road. It's over by Arnold High School, so be careful around the school traffic, but they have the best equipment you're going to find anywhere down here. They do a wonderful job. Your car will look better than the day you bought it. And Dr. Chad Mitchell, Southern Orthopedic Specialist. Chad was in here yesterday talking with us, doing a great job as always, but he is absolutely the man you need to see. If you've got any kind of injury, you want to go see Chad. He will get you fixed up right. He's been working with the athletes in Bay County for well over 20 years. Dr. Chad Mitchell and Southern Orthopedic Specialist. When we get back, Jim Barant's going to talk to us everything Florida State Seminoles, and we will do that next. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Colin Cowherd. LeBron James, Rich Paul, the new head coach Darvin Ham, and Rob Pelinka, those four people met. 4 or 5 different agreements, according to sources. All 4 of those seem like wake-up calls for Westbrook. Russ wasn't in the meeting. AD wasn't either, but his agent was.
The Herd, weekdays 11 to 2 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good Tuesday morning. I'm forecasting spotty showers and thunderstorms today and tonight. Partly sunny during the day, partly cloudy tonight. Highs around 90, lows around 78, and the winds are west-southwest 10 to 15. Water temperature in the Gulf is 87. More showers and thunderstorms Wednesday. This weather forecast has been brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. For 104.3 and 102.1 ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
Let the adventures begin in a new Kia from Bill Bird Kia. Now offering 3.49% APR up to 48 months on the purchase of a new 2022 Kia Sorento. You can expand your horizons and write your next chapter with confidence in the outgoing and adventurous 2022 Kia Sorento that has the perfect balance of comfort, safety, performance, and technology. Bill Bird Kia is the home of the 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by and see us at 2435 East 15th Street or anytime at BillBirdKia.com. We make buying a car easy and give you the peace of mind that you can trust.
Offer from KMF for the purchase of a new 2022 Sorento with $22.36 per month per 1,000 financed at 48 months. Quality's limited. No down payment required. Cannot be combined with other finance offers. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is a Bill Bird Kia warranty. See dealer for complete details. Offer for well-qualified buyers. Must take delivery from dealer stock through 9/6/22.
And here we go.
The #1 SEC call-in show is now twice as big. The Paul Feinbaum Show. Weekday evening 6 to 10. Now back to the Coach James Hale Show on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Florida State, Florida State, Florida State. Woo! FSU update brought to you every day here on the Coach James Hale Show by Newbies. All 3 Newbies. The mothership where you're going to find the best bands anywhere around. You might have to step over a few people that we know listen to this show. But it's a good time down there at Newbies.
Any drunk Turkish bears?
Very well could be. Hey, they got food now, so that's even better. Newbies, too, there, the end zone down there on the corner. That's going to be the place to go see sporting events this year. And don't forget about the Booze and Brew on Front Beach Road. John and Charlotte, they do just a wonderful, wonderful job in everything that they do with their businesses and their support for the community. And Charlotte, she absolutely loves FSU. Jim, what do you got for us today on the Mighty, Mighty Seminoles?
Well, you know, the preview magazines have come out, and I bought an Athlon preview, which is kind of one of the recognized ones that people always buy. And they have the rankings by position groups for all the teams in the ACC. Now, keep in mind, there's 14 teams in the ACC, so your position, your skill guys, your linemen, whatever, could be ranked anywhere 1 through 14.
Okay.
And I kind of thought it'd be interesting to see what other people who made this magazine think of what Florida State's talent level is for this season coming up. So I'm going to give you their rankings, and then a team that has the #1 ranking at that same position. So let's start with quarterbacks. Florida State's quarterback is ranked 6th, okay, out of 14. All right. Wake Forest has got the number 1 ranked quarterback, but he just got hurt or something.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they did. So I don't know if that's gonna last for too long. But I thought that was interesting. At running back, again, Florida State is ranked number 6th out of 14. Syracuse number 1. And Syracuse has got that stud running back. I wish I could remember his name, but he was picked as an All-American too.
Yep.
I want to say Tucker, maybe. I don't know. It's something simple. But anyway, Syracuse of all teams has the number 1 ranked running back. A wide receiver, FSU is 9. And how the mighty have fallen, because how long did Florida State have great receivers?
A lot of new guys.
Yeah. And Pitt has the best receivers. Yeah, that's after losing that kid to...
After losing Jordan Addison.
To Southern Cal. Offensive line, no surprise. Florida State's ranked 7th. Again, Pitt is considered to have the best offensive line. Defensive line, Florida State is ranked 4 in the ACC. Clemson is no surprise. That Brisset kid is tougher than...
And Miles Murphy.
Yeah,
they're
they
loaded.
got some players. It was ranked number 1. Linebacker, Florida State's number 6. North Carolina State is ranked best. And in DBs, is Florida State's highest ranking is number 3.
Yeah.
Clemson has the best overall position group. So that's how at the Athlon magazine kind of ranked them. To be honest with you, I thought it was a little low on some. I thought they'd be a little bit higher. But this shows to me that Florida State's got their work cut out for them because a lot of people still say, well, their talent level's not what it could be, not what it should be. So we'll see.
Yeah, I guess quarterback probably seems right. I thought they'd be higher with their running backs because they've gotten a lot.
I did too.
Wide receivers, it's low, but I get it because they're very unproven. They're new.
Right.
Offensive line, they got to show me something. They may be high.
Yeah.
Defensive line, I think they've got the defense right on. I'm not as sold on the linebackers just yet, but that defensive line, especially with Verse, and the DBs have shown out all spring and summer, so I could get that. But, well, we all know the key is quarterback. I'm interested. Did you happen to list, I know Wake Forest was first, but I'm interested in the way they kind of rank the quarterbacks. Did you have kind of...
I bet NC State, I bet was 2. Everyone's been high on that NC State guy.
I guess it's the Cunningham kid at Louisville. I'm interested to see where they had him, and from a
it's in here somewhere. They have them all ranked.
I was going to say from a cynical perspective, I'd be interested to see where they have Uiagalelei from Clemson.
Yeah.
I'm impressed that you could say that. I just call him Johnny Ukulele.
Well, I called him ukulele for a long time, but I figured I'd have to figure it out at some point. But
yeah, he has to do some improvement for sure.
Yeah, he has a cannon, but I mean, it don't matter how hard you can throw the ball or far if you can't complete it.
Right.
Didn't seem like there was much love for Clemson on the offensive side.
No.
Mostly all defensive.
No, you're right. And their defense is loaded. That defensive front that they've got, that's from that recruiting class a couple of years ago that was so good that's very similar to what A&M just picked up. And Brisset's coming back from the injury. But, and it certainly is very interesting now with Sam Hartman going down because that completely changes the outlook on Wake Forest.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. They were an offensive juggernaut last year. They really were.
Absolutely were.
Okay, now I'm going to change gears just for a second here.
Let's do it.
Yesterday they posted the 13 people that are on the football playoff committee because people always complain, about who they are and how can they make this decision.
Oh, good
I'm talking
Lord.
about for this season, for 2022. And here are the 13.
These are the people we put all our hopes and dreams in here, folks.
So if you're Notre Dame or Michigan or whoever you are, here are the people you need to talk to one way or the other. All right, the commissioner or the committee chair is a person named Boo Carrington, who's the AD at North Carolina State. Then we have Mitch Barnhart, the AD at Kentucky. Then we have Tom Berman, who's the AD at Wyoming.
Football power.
Rick George is the AD at Colorado. Then we have the only woman whose name is Kelly Whiteside. She's an assistant professor of journalism at Montclair State in New Jersey.
Hang on.
Go ahead.
Assistant professor.
She's not even a full professor of journalism?
It said assistant professor in journalism.
Journalism.
All right. Keep going before I get into trouble.
All right. Then we have Chet Gladchuk, who's the AD at Navy.
Okay.
Then we have the first coach, Joe Taylor, who's the former head football coach at FAMU, Hampton,
Okay.
Virginia Union, traditional black colleges.
I do like that we have a coach on there.
He's been around a long time. Here's another one. I was glad to see him because I think I have a lot of respect for this guy. He was at Ohio University, and when I went back to Akron as a GA, he just took over the job at OU, did a great job. That's Jim Grobe, who was at OU, and then did a great job at Wake Forest, and then took over to try to clean up that mess at Baylor for like one season.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then you have Wade Manuel, who's the AD at Michigan.
All
right. Will Shields, former player.
Yeah.
From Nebraska. I think he played for the Chiefs. He might even be in the Hall of Fame, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have Gene Taylor, who's the AD at Kansas State. John Urschel, who's a Harvard junior fellow, former Penn State offensive lineman. The picture, he's a big guy. Then we have, for all the conspiracy people, we have a former Notre Dame linebacker named Rod West in there. So you got Notre Dame represented, you got Kansas State, you got Michigan. I don't know.
It's a big Midwestern flair to this committee.
Yeah, so I was kind of surprised who was in and who wasn't there. And only just a couple coaches.
It seems like previous years there was a lot more big name former coaches or former ADs or this or that.
Right.
I was really surprised to see even the AD selections from the schools weren't like big names. I mean, usually we have a few bigger school name ADs in there.
It's
kind of surprising.
Yeah, it's a weird balance though, because
it's interesting. There's nobody from the SEC.
Right.
Nobody.
Kentucky.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
Mitch
Kentucky.
Barnhart,
but yeah, it's only
that
one.
doesn't really count.
It's an but what Ethan said is interesting because which way would you rather have it? You could have a bunch of ADs from Wyoming's and wherever else that really aren't going to be involved. So theoretically, there would be
no bias.
Right.
And then you have a Michigan AD in there.
Yeah, I was really surprised to see that.
Again, it represents a Power 5.
Yeah.
But, I mean, does that help Michigan?
I don't know.
Does the Michigan AD go out of his way not to vote for Michigan so that he doesn't show that bias?
Yeah, that's true too. It works that way too. It does.
But I don't know. I'll be honest. Last year's committee had more non-coach player AD. Like there were a few journalists last year. There's only the one associate professor of janitorial supplies or whatever we have here.
Right.
But, fair enough. But I don't know. I would like to see more former coaches on this personally.
Right.
And former players. I think there's 2,
Yeah.
I think you said. So it's an interesting dynamic. I mean, at least Condoleezza Rice isn't on it anymore with her vast football knowledge.
Yeah.
I don't know. Are these the best 13 people we can choose to decide the fate of
I don't know
college
if they're
football?
the best, but those are the 13 that we got.
Yeah, I mean,
nobody from Texas.
Yeah, that doesn't seem
that's a
fair.
good thing.
That doesn't seem fair
Nobody
at all.
Oklahoma. Nobody from Southern Cal. Nobody from the West Coast.
Nobody from the state of Florida?
Yeah, nobody from Florida.
Well, I guess former FAMU coach could somewhat qualify, but I don't. Ugh. And who decides this committee?
That's a good question. I don't know. That's maybe the best question.
Oh, the secret cabal that's behind all of the. You know what? Coach Hale isn't here, but I'm going to say it. Putin's fault.
Yeah, it is Putin's fault. Could be.
Good gracious. So, folks, Jim Brandt has just read to you the 13 people who will decide the fate of your favorite college football program. And fortunately, to counterbalance the 12 idiots, we have an associate professor of journalism from Montclair State. So all is well in the college football world. Thank you, Jim.
Okay.
I'm going to go jump off a bridge now.
Wait, what do you have problems with? Be honest, and I'm going to get you in big trouble
I
here.
just don't.
Is it she's a female?
No, it's
or
not.
Or is it
her.
that she's an associate?
Yeah, well, the associate is a problem.
Or
you should be a full
or it's journalism,
professor.
or that it's journalism.
Well,
Journalism
is a dirty word nowadays too.
Yeah, right.
But
J
anyway,
word.
so before I go do my swan dive off the Hathaway, let me talk about some of the great sponsors we have. And hey, we've got a great sponsor back for the football season. Dak Cajun Place is back. And most of you guys have been there, and it is a fantastic place there on Thomas Drive. And this year, for college football game days, they're going to have the 75-cent wing specials. I know we took advantage of that last year a lot. Coach Hale was there with me. He was passing me the bill quite often. But hey, at 75-cent wings, I don't mind the bill coming
even
to
you
me.
can afford that.
Yeah, Tommy Santamont would join us. We had a good time. So that's going to be the place to go out and see the Ohio State Buckeyes and those 11 a.m. games that they love so much. We'll be at Dak Cajun Place.
It's not 11 a.m. in Columbus. It's noon.
Lunch is on Jim. But yeah, Dak Cajun Place. Get out there and see them. Don't forget Buffalo Rock. Let me tell you, they have done such a great job supporting all the high school athletics and youth athletics in this area for so long, and they have absolutely great products. My favorite, that Sunfresh sugar-free lemonade, is fantastic. But everything Buffalo Rock does, make sure you use them when you're enjoying your favorite college football games. And don't forget Dr. John Ward, dermatology specialist. He'll be on with us tomorrow talking everything Florida Gators, because he loves those Gators. But he's got offices all over. If you can hear us right now, then he's got an office near you. In fact, they just opened a new one over there, right there around Water Sound. Yeah, over by 30A. So don't become a statistic. If you see something that doesn't kind of look right, doesn't feel right, maybe changing color, get out there and see Dr. Ward before it becomes an issue. When we come back, Ethan Boyd, he's going to give us the rundown on Texas A&M, and their prospects for the new season right here, 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
What was your rap name? Max, man. I had one I can't repeat on the air now. But what was his what? Rap. You didn't know I had a record deal in '94? No, I didn't. Every couple months, it comes up. People play the video. It's like, I didn't know this. By the way, I was all right. On every street corner in New York, everyone rhymed. Y'all spit rhymes back in the day. Who says just back in the day, Jay?
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Weekday mornings starting at 5 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Dear past, present, and future football watchers, you know why we're here. The football season is back! Woo! That means those pregame barbecues with an ice-cold Pepsi, totally back. Your perfectly placed football-watching corner seat, back and comfy as ever. 18 Sundays of touchdown scoring, Hail Mary throwing, ice-cold Pepsi flowing football action. You better believe it's back. And since that's too amazing to miss a single second's worth, Pepsi is officially giving you permission to always put football first. And when we say always, we mean always. Like when your lawn is looking less like a lawn and more like a jungle. If the game's on, then the lawnmower ain't. And those gutters you haven't cleaned, today is not their day. Or maybe those in-laws are back in town. Well, better hope they're football fans, because your Sunday is completely booked. Long story short, crack open a Pepsi and don't let anything get between you and your football watching. With love, Pepsi, made for football watching. That's what I like.
Tire Brokers is your one-stop shop for all your auto repair needs. Whether you need an oil change, brake or engine repair, or tire and wheel services, the skilled technicians at Tire Brokers are trained to take care of it all. They even service commercial vehicles and farm and forestry equipment. Tire Brokers is dedicated to providing their customers with the very best auto repair service experience, including upfront and honest quotes, timely response to issues, and quality products and parts. Stop by the newest location in Panama City Beach at 506 Thomas Drive to let Tire Brokers earn your business and exceed your expectations.
Broadcasting live from the J. Michaels Studios.
The best part of waking up is
The Coach James Hale Show. Powered by Pepsi. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back. Coach James Hale Show, Tuesday morning. Starting to become a lovely Tuesday morning. Got that storm out of the way. And up next, we're going to go into talking about the Texas A&M Aggies, the #1 recruiting class in the history of recruiting classes. The #6 preseason Texas A&M Aggies, although they don't take 6 to the playoffs yet, Ethan. So I don't know about that. But, Ethan, what do you got for us on the mighty, mighty Aggies?
Yeah, it's obviously we were 7 in the coaches poll, 6 in the AP, and so I think it's just one of those times where I think we got to live up to the rankings, which as many of coaches, reporters, and fans of other teams have always said that we don't always quite do that. We tend to just go 8-4 and not do so well. So we've had some other coaches even say that as well lately. So I don't know. It's just one of those years that we got to live up to the rankings, in my opinion. Got to win the games we should win. I mean, obviously, I think losing to Bama, that's not, especially at Bama, not a big deal. But I think we got to beat the Mississippi States. We got to beat the teams that we're supposed to be better than. We got to beat those teams this year.
Absolutely right. That Mississippi State game was a shocker.
Yeah, I mean that's the big one that everyone calls out from last year. So.
I enjoyed it, but it was a shocker. Yeah.
So we got to do that. The big thing I think, and it's kind of everyone's kind of saying right now too, is ESPN and Sports Illustrated both came out with like a poll, like who's the most like, which players will affect the season the most, and both of them had at number one the A&M quarterback situation.
Absolutely.
Because realistically, if Haynes King comes to play or Max Johnson, whoever it is, they come out and they actually look good. Everyone says A&M has the tools around that to be successful. It's just the quarterback play. What's it going to be?
Well, let me ask you about that.
Was that running back Spiller? Is he?
Yeah.
He's there. Okay, I think he's pretty good.
Let me ask you this. Two-part question. Which quarterback starts the season for A&M, and which quarterback ends the season for A&M?
I'm going to say Haynes King is going to get the start. I think Jimbo likes the athletic ability that he brings to the table. Obviously, first game, Sam Houston State. So I think, he gets it. He probably plays 3 quarters, maybe even just half. Max Johnson comes in the second half. Appalachian State's number 2. Again, I think the same thing. Like Haynes King, if he's a starter, he'll probably get three quarters. They'll give Max a quarter. And then we got Miami at home, his third game. So I think it kind of depends from there. I think Miami, Arkansas, Mississippi State's all back to back to back. I think that's just kind of 3-game stretch that will determine it, because I think by that point, obviously after Mississippi State's Bama, and you have to know who your quarterback's going to be from there. Yep. So I think Miami's at home. I think we should have played good, but I think Miami's going to be a lot improved. So I think if he has a rough half or a rough quarter and it doesn't look good, I think Jimbo will be quick to pull the trigger. I don't think he's going to let him just sit back there and have a full game and take a loss kind of thing. I think if he doesn't think Haynes King's going to do it, he'll pull Max in. I think Max, the question's going to be the receivers to me. If we need the playmaking ability where our receivers are not getting separation, they're not making the big plays, I think Haynes King's probably going to be the guy that goes all season. But I think if our receivers step up, if Evan Stewart, the freshman, our tight ends, they play good and they're actually able to make plays, Max Johnson's going to put them in a better situation to let them be the playmakers. He's just kind of, being the point guard out there, just setting them up. And so I think that's kind of is what's going to be the determinant is the running backs. Are we getting yards running the football through our running backs, or do we need our quarterback to make plays with his feet?
Are those guys good enough that Jimbo can sit and shirt Wegman this year?
I think so. Yeah. I think he will. I think it's looking more and more like he's kind of falling out of the race just because he's so young. Mm-hmm. But, everyone's really high on the guy, and I'm really interested to see him on the baseball field too. But I think Haynes King gets the start. I would not be surprised, though, honestly, if Max King by Arkansas is the starting quarterback. Yeah. I really do think he's in what Jimbo traditionally tries to run. I think Max Johnson fits that better. Yeah. I think it's just going to come out really to offensive line, running backs, and then skilled players, which we have and we recruit them. They've got to be better. But I also think Jimbo has to do a better job of calling the big plays, letting our quarterbacks make plays with their arms, not doing 5-yard out routes, 5-yard slants, that kind of stuff, which I feel like he babied it down some for Calzada last year, but I think he's got to open it up more this year, because it's just we got to win. We got to win the games we should win. Yeah. So. Well,
speaking of those games, we've got kind of the projections from the FPI on A&M. So let's we'll go through them here one by one, Ethan. I'm kind of curious your take on these. September 3rd, Sam Houston State, big opener. Great job, guys. Only a 98.4% chance of winning. What's wrong with you guys?
Hey, you never know, all right?
Oh, my gosh. September 10th, don't sleep on this one. If you do, you could end up like Michigan. App State coming into town, 84.4% chance of winning. We get that one done?
I think we get that one done.
All right, we're 2-0, folks. Now begins the grind of the season. These next 4 games are brutal. Yeah. September 17th, again, at home, against number 16 Miami under Mario Cristobal, and they've got a returning quarterback there, which is gold in college.
Yeah,
Talk about this game.
The game, I think because it's home, I think we're going to get it done. But I do think Miami's a lot improved. I think they're going to have their 16 is the pre-ranking. I think they'll end the season in the top 20. Like, I think they're going to have a few losses, but they're going to be like a 9-3, 8-4 team. So I think they're a good team.
FPI's got A&M a 56.3% chance of winning. Jim, you have Miami or A&M?
A&M because they're at home.
I'm going to take A&M as well. So we all got them 3-0. Now, this is a big game. September 24th in Arlington. Jerry's World, I assume, versus number 19 Arkansas. They have A&M with a 60.2% chance of winning. Ethan, what say you?
We lost that game last year. I think we get it this year. I think just kind of as a revenge factor. We usually play Arkansas really well. Last year they blew us out of the water. They blew Texas out 2 weeks before us, and they blew us out, and they were making big statements about it. I think we get them back this year, though.
Jim?
Yeah, I think Arkansas kind of crept up on people last year a little bit. I don't think that's going to be true this year at all. They're going to have to earn their wins. Not that they didn't last year, but yeah, I think A&M gets that one too.
I know they lost to them last year, but I do think there might be a bit of a layover or a layoff coming out of the Miami, because I do think there's going to be some hype around the Miami game.
Yeah.
And Arkansas, quite frankly, I think is going to be the surprise team in the West this year. I could see them winning 10 games. I'm going to take Arkansas here. So I've got A&M losing their first game against Arkansas. Following week, first time on the road at Mississippi State. FPI only gives A&M a 48.8% chance of winning. So technically a dog to Mississippi State. What do you think?
That's in Stark Vegas?
In Stark Vegas.
Yeah, I mean, I think we win this game. Last year we lost him at home. I think we go there and we win. Traditionally, Jimbo, at least at A&M, he's actually done a better job of winning the away games and losing the at-home games, which was actually someone was the same way. We'd always win the big away games and lose at home. So I think we'll take care of Mississippi State. I think we should have last year. I think we do again this year.
Jim?
Yeah, I think they beat them.
Yeah, I'm going to go on and say A&M gets Mississippi State this year, too. State's not a significantly better team at home than they are on the road anyway, so even with the Cowbells. Here's the big one, October 8th. Again, back-to-back on the road after this gauntlet at Alabama. 9.1% chance of winning.
I'm going to take the loss on this one.
Yeah. You're not going
Alabama's
to play
going to get them this year.
Yeah. I don't think Saban would.
You don't get Nick 2 years in a row.
Not only is it revenge, it's at the end of a brutal physical stretch for A&M. So, yeah, I agree. So, you guys have A&M with one loss at this point. I have them with two. Then they get the break, which is nice. And they come out of the break on the road again, but at South Carolina, where they have a 63.4% chance of winning.
I think we're the better team on paper. I'll be interested to see how South Carolina looks at this point in the season, how Spencer Rattler looks. I mean, we should win this game, but if there is a game that kind of makes me nervous, that's probably one of the games.
Well, I forgot about Spencer Rattler playing for South Carolina. They kind of snuck up on people, too, last year, too, a little bit. I think A&M takes care of them this year.
I think South Carolina is the most overrated team in the country this year, so I do. So I'll take A&M as well. October 29th, Ole Miss coming into town, 60.8% chance. What do you think?
Yeah, they beat us last year. I mean, Lane Kiffin's got a good team. Again, it's at home for us. We have this year's schedule is really good for us to actually win the games we should win. So I think we'll win it because it's at home, but I think that'll be a tougher game than people think.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Ole Miss there. I think Lane Kiffin's going to get it done.
I hate even saying these words. I'm going to go with Ole Miss as well. I think by this point of the season, they haven't really – they start with all their non-conference games, and then they get into their conference. This is a little early in their conference run, so they're not going to be as beat up yet. I'll take Ole Miss here, and that just hurts to say. Let's get one more in quickly, and then we'll finish up with this coming out of the next one. November 5th, at home, got the Florida Gators coming into town. 70.3% chance of winning this game.
Yeah, again, it's at home, so I like us in this one. I don't think Florida's as good up front on either side of the ball. Now I think Richardson's gonna have a good year, just being playmaker. But I think because it's at home, I think we should be able to win this game.
Yeah, I think A&M's gonna take care of them. It'll be a close game, but I think they'll get them.
I think A&M bounces back here as well. Well, let's go to a break. We're gonna finish this up on the back end of things. But hey, we just had our A&M update, and who better to talk about as a sponsor than the man himself, Ethan Boyd, with Rudy's Barbecue. What's going on down at Rudy Tootie's?
We're just breakfast, lunch, and dinner right now. Obviously getting a bunch of back-to-school stuff going on. Started picking up some orders for Labor Day weekend. That's coming up around the corner. And then just starting to play in some golf tournaments because those are coming around the corner as well. So.
And you can come watch football games there at Rudy's, too, can't you, this year?
All day.
Whew. College football and barbecue.
That's right.
Speaking my language.
And going to the James Hale room in the back.
Yeah.
Or do you have to have reservations for
Breaking news, breakfast burritos, not just for breakfast anymore.
Absolutely right, man. I eat them all day, that's for sure. My waistline will prove it. So get out to Rudy's Barbecue there on Back Beach Road. You will absolutely love it. When we get back, we're going to finish up with A&M, and we're going to talk something real fun. Which SEC coach would win in a fight? This is going to be fantastic. Get your phones ready when we get back. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida is the Panhandle's destination for the Atlanta Braves.
Got him swinging strike three.
Ozzie Albies, Austin Riley, Ronald Acuna Jr. and the Braves are back.
Unbelievable.
And hungry for more. Listen to the world champion Atlanta Braves on a world champion radio station.
Rosario knocked the living daylights out of it.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good Tuesday morning. I'm forecasting spotty showers and thunderstorms today and tonight. Partly sunny during the day, partly cloudy tonight. Highs around 90, lows around 78, and the winds other west-southwest 10 to 15. Water temperature in the Gulf is 87. More showers and thunderstorms Wednesday. This weather forecast has been brought to you by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. For 104.3 and 102.1 ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
Great design is timeless, and that's why Tracy's Fine Jewelry inside Coin and Bullion Reserves offers a stunning selection of vintage, antique, estate jewelry on sale now at 40% off. Exquisite Victorian rings, Art Deco diamond brooches, Georgian and Art Deco bracelets, earrings, and pendants. These one-of-a-kind pieces add personality to any ensemble, and now at 40% off. Find your timeless treasure at Tracy's Fine Jewelry inside Coin and Bullion Reserves.
Dat Cajun Place is the place to watch all college and NFL games. Don't miss a game with their 27 TVs and the NFL Sunday Ticket. It's 75-cent wings and $5 pitchers during live football games. Dat Cajun Place is LSU and Saints football headquarters. Daily special starting at just $10.99. Happy hour 4 till 7 daily. $1 draft beer and $3 wells. Dat Cajun Place, 2705 Thomas Drive, Panama City Beach.
From the Vortex Springs to the Bear Paw Canoe Trail. From Shell Island to 30A. We're your home for live sports. Now back to the Coach James Hale Show inside the J. Michael Studio. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Golly. Little Van Halen in the morning.
There you go.
For
That'll
me.
get you going.
I'm ready.
Shredded, Eddie.
I'm ready to run out of a tunnel to this. Well, what better music to play when we're about to talk about SEC coaches fighting? And we've got a caller on the line that we're going to go to in just a minute because I know he wants to weigh in on this. But real quick, we're going to finish up with A&M before we get into this hot topic. So right now, Ethan's got A&M with 1 loss. Jim's got him with 2. I got him with 3. We're November 12th. We're on the road at Auburn, and this is the most shocking number I've seen so far. FBI has A&M with only a 38.8% chance of winning on the Plains. Wow.
Yeah, I'm really surprised to see that. I mean, especially with the way most people are talking about Auburn's season. It is away, so this game does concern me a lot. We haven't played well in Auburn at all since we've moved to the SEC. So this game does concern me. I think we're a better team on paper. I think we should get this win. But if there's one I would circle that's a lot that potentially be a loss, I'd probably get one.
Jim?
I think they'll get it done, too. It'll be a close game, but
I just have a bad feeling the wheels are going to come off for Auburn by this point, and it's going to be a real ugly scene. So I'll take A&M here. November 19th, I don't think we need to go through this one. UMass, 98.7% chance of winning. Anybody got the Minutemen in this game?
Nobody's got the Minutemen.
Okay. So here we go. Season ender, traditional season ender at this point, November 26th at home. LSU coming in, 55.5% chance of winning for the Aggies. Ethan, what do you got?
Yeah, it's our new Saturday after Thanksgiving game at home. So I think we'll win this game. Again, I think LSU is going to be a better team this year, but I still think we'll win this one.
So you got them most likely 11-1, could be 10-2.
I'm saying 11-1, yeah.
Jim?
Quite a coaching matchup, too. You got Kelly versus Jimbo. That's a good coaches there. I'm going to go with A&M. I think they get it done.
So you got them 9-3?
No, losing
10-2. 10-2.
Alabama and Ole Miss.
Yeah. I'd be honest with you, by the end of the season, I think Kelly's going to have that LSU team playing really, really well. And I just have a feeling because I have A&M with 3 losses, it's going to be a little bitter. I'm going to take LSU in this game and have a little fun with Ethan probably at the end of the season, sending him an 8-4 record for the 800th straight year for A&M. So, but it'll be interesting. FPI has A&M going 9-3, so kind of splitting the difference.
So if they go 8-4, does Jimbo start packing his stuff?
Not with what they have coming next year, I don't think. If he goes worse than 8-4, maybe.
I think it kind of depends who they lose to, too.
Yeah,
you know,
I think so.
Losing to Alabama is one thing. Losing to somebody else is maybe something else.
Well, I am looking forward to this next thing because we've got a poll that actually lists out the SEC coaches most likely to win in a fight, and it ranks them from 1 to 14. But before we get into it, we're going to go to one of our superstar callers to get him to weigh in on this. Is that Mike we have on the line?
This is I, if that's incorrect English. Y'all have really gone over the line here. I'm going to bring up the unsophisticated purple, I can't even say them, purple hull pea pickers. Well, this is like, can Rocky whip Rambo or can Jackie Fargo whip Jerry Lawler? Well, Jackie Fargo's dead, so Lawler wins that one, even though he's had 8 heart attacks. Well, here's the thing. Is it a fair fight? I'm interested in the poll. I'll get off and let y'all do it. Or is it a tricky fight? Kind of like in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, you know, where there's a knife fight, but there ain't no rules.
Yeah. You kick him in the knee first thing. You know, hey, you got to do what you got to do.
That's right. Well, hey, here's my thing is, if there's no rules, then Colonel Luke Lee at Vanderbilt will have the Harpeth Hall field hockey team standing off to the side, and they're going to beat them with sticks, and nobody will get that. Or the coach at Tennessee will have the softball players in their skirts with no underwear and their cowboy boots, and they'll be throwing range balls at whoever's he's fighting, you know. But I'll leave the real thing to y'all because it's so important. I turned off Antonin Dvorak, believe it or not, and I'm a Troy graduate. So, hey, which one of you coached at Akron?
I did.
That's Jim.
Okay. Vandy wants to buy y'all's nickname.
Who does?
Vandy.
Do they? Zips?
Yeah, the Zips, because that's what's on the scoreboard usually.
Yeah, you're right. This is true.
Don't you love Vandy? They did a poll.
Hey,
you know, what
Akron's
3
not much
teams
better.
you want? Everybody wanted Vandy to be on their permanent schedule.
Oh,
Y'all
yeah.
get to that poll there. I'm interested. And can Rocky whip Rambo? Bye.
That's Mike.
Mike.
He always brings it strong. I lived in Nashville, so I got the Harpeth Hall reference. That's an all-girls school that, well, there's a report out that they may be taking some non-girls in there.
Okay.
But we won't get into that right now. But let's get to this poll, Jim, because this thing is a beauty. Do we go
I don't know how you want to
14-1,
approach this.
or do we go 1? Let's go 14-1. Now, this is no weapons.
Yeah.
This is a physical confrontation.
Yeah, this was posted online. I don't know who came up with it, but I got a good laugh out of it, too.
With way too much time on their hands.
Now, remember, there's 14 coaches in, the SEC. And coming in at number 14 is Mike Leach, okay? Now, he might talk you to death, but I don't know if he's throwing too many punches. Number 13 is Brian Kelly. Now, Kelly's about 70 years old.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, based on his dancing ability, he ain't getting out of the way of too many punches.
Yeah. Number 12 is Nick Saban again. He's about 71, something like that. He's getting up there.
I might have Saban higher on the list. He's feisty.
Number 11 is Ethan's boy Jimbo Fisher. I don't see him being very tough at all.
He's gonna hit you with his glasses.
Yeah, look like a librarian looking over the end of his glasses.
His voice will get real high as he's yelling at you.
Still waters are in deep. Now.
That's right. Number 10 is the softball coach of Tennessee, Josh Heupel. Okay.
Josh carries some weight now.
Yeah, he's gotten big since he played at Oklahoma.
You're gonna have to hit him a couple times.
Yeah. Number 9 is Eli Drinkwitz from Missouri. I don't know much about him.
No,
I don't by physical stature.
He's another one pretty feisty. He was no fan of Dan Mullen, that's for sure.
Yeah. Number 8, I think he's ranked too low. I think he could be higher because he's a pretty big guy if you've ever seen him compared to other people, and he's in fairly good shape. Is Lane Kiffin at number 8? I think he should be a little higher up. Okay. Number 7.
Kiffin doesn't strike me as a fighter, though.
Yeah, probably not.
He strikes me as the guy who starts the fight and then goes and talks to everybody's girlfriend while it's going on.
Kind of an Eddie Haskell kind of thing. Gee, Mrs. Cleaver, you look wonderful today. Number 7 is Sam Pittman.
He would be way higher on my
Arkansas.
list. That guy is a bear.
Now, number 6 is Shane Beamer from South Carolina. I don't know. Have never seen Shane now.
He's athletic. He's not a real big guy.
Yeah. Number 5, Billy Napier.
I can see that. He's pretty feisty.
He played at Furman when my son played at Furman also. He was a quarterback, good player. Number 4 is Kirby Smart. He'd be scrappy now.
He's energetic.
Yeah, you'd have to put him down. You'd have to have one behind the ear.
He's that Energizer Bunny. Yeah. Just keep coming at you.
Number 3, Mark Stoops from Kentucky.
That's interesting.
He's a pretty big guy.
He's a tough guy. You better believe he fought growing up in that family.
All right, number 2 is, I think his name is Clark.
Clark Lee.
Clark Lee from Vandy.
Dude's in shape, and you can't grab his hair.
Yeah, and number 1 coming at the top of the list is Brian Harston from the Auburn Tigers.
There you go, Auburn. We're number 1 in the poll here in the SEC. I can attest to this. When I was in Auburn working a couple of months ago, I even sent something to Hale before the show. And I said, Brian Harston just jogged by my car. Dude is jacked.
Yeah, he's
he's in good shape. And they actually tell me that when he came in last year, he would run stadiums with the players until one of them could beat him. And it was a while before they could. So
that wouldn't be me.
He's in shape, and we certainly know he's not afraid of a fight because he's been in them. But I don't know. Looking at that list, I'd have Pittman higher. I'd have Kiffin lower. I'd have Saban above Fisher. You got to be kidding me on that. No way.
Now Saban's like 72 years old.
I don't care.
Can you spit some beech nut in that dude's eye? 'Cause I want Kentucky higher on that list.
The rest of it, it's interesting. It's certainly fun to this actually sounds like a question Mike Leach would get at a presser. But, hey, that's good. Vandy and Auburn are at the top of a list for the SEC football. That's great. But, no, I agree most of it. It's fun to think about. I'm sitting here laughing, trying to think about some of these guys fighting each other. But Jimbo and Nick certainly, I think, would.
Yeah.
But
you got to remember now, Jimbo and Nick have probably squared off when they were at LSU playing that pickup basketball at noon.
Well, that's true, too.
Because they competed hard against each other.
Well, and you think about it, most of these people want to jerk a knot in Lane Kiffin.
Right.
So,
if you've ever seen Nick Saban in person, when he was recruiting Eddie Williams at Arnold, I met him one time. He's not very big. Mm-hmm. He's like maybe 5'9", 5'10", maybe. So he's not a very big guy at all. And I don't know how big Jimbo Fisher is, but
he's not very big either.
Yeah.
Pittman strikes me as the guy that you could hit him and he go, so when are you going to hit me? And then he would wrestle you.
Yeah, he's a big bear of a guy. He is.
He's a little bit scary there. I'm kind of curious what Mike would have said, although I love the fact that he brought in some Memphis wrestling with Jackie Fargo and Jerry Lawler. That is old school.
This should be how they decide who gets to pick first in the draft.
Yes, they just they have a duke it out.
Or determine the teams in the college playoffs. Forget those 13 people. Let's have WrestleMania with these guys, with the coaches.
Hey.
Coming off the top rope.
I think we're on to something.
We just sold a pay-per-view. That's what we did. Fantastic. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. That was a blast just thinking about that. And I know I went to Mississippi State, and I love my Bulldogs. But, yeah, Mike Leach is last. He's just – and unless he can dumbfound you into confusion, and then he hits you cheap. He
might be a black belt or something like that.
You don't know.
Well, that's the truth too.
Thing.
Yeah, watch him turn into be like he with the Star Wars comparison, Yoda when he got a lightsaber.
He could be like Daniel LaRusso. If done right, there's no defense. Does the crane kick on
If
him.
he does the crane kick,
It's
that
all
would
over,
be,
brother.
That is not the football you seek.
I can actually see Mike Leach saying that.
Leach like Yoda. You don't know.
Oh, my goodness. What a great topic. Well, let's get to some of our great sponsors and who I know are loving following this segment. Chuck Tucker, South Oak Title and Closing. Man, when you get to closing on real estate, you don't want any hassles, and there is nobody better than Chuck Tucker. All the big real estate agents use him. Get out to South Oak Title and Closing and deal with Chuck. Max Fit Sports Nutrition, Jason Kovaleski, big Ohio State Buckeye like Jim Durant.
That's right. Go Bucks.
But let me tell you, you can go out there. You can try it before you buy it out there. He's got a ton of wonderful products to make you feel better, look better, get bigger, stronger, faster. If you're an athlete in this area and you're looking for an edge, for an advantage, he has got the products that will help you get better. Max Fit Sports Nutrition, it's right there in Pier Park North next to Dick's Sporting Goods. When we come back, I'm sure the phones will ring with interruptions for the ever famous Alabama update right here on the Coach James Hale Show, 104.3 ESPN, Northwest Florida.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida is your radio home for live and local sports coverage. For the most high school and college sports from right here in our local area, it's the Coach James Hale Show, weekday mornings 7 till 9. Then the ride home is alive and kicking with the afternoon underdogs, covering the gamut of sports. Plus, the radio home for the defending world champion Atlanta Braves. Your local sports station is ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good Tuesday morning. I'm forecasting spotty showers and thunderstorms today and tonight. Partly sunny during the day, partly cloudy tonight. Highs around 90, lows around 78, and the winds either west-southwest 10 to 15. Water temperature in the Gulf is 87. More showers and thunderstorms Wednesday. This weather forecast has been brought to you by KHS and Associates, your source for affordable health insurance. For 104.3 and 102.1 ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
Dr. Chad Mitchell, orthopedic surgeon, specializing in sports medicine and joint replacement of the knee, shoulder, and hip. He serves our local athletes and our community. Southern Orthopedic Specialist has been the leader in orthopedic care for over 20 years. New patients are welcome. Call 850-769-KNEE to schedule an appointment. More about Dr. Mitchell and Southern Orthopedic Specialist is available on their website, southernorthopedic.com. Southern Orthopedic, getting you back in the game.
Atlanta Braves play here. WGSX Lynn Haven, WTOT, W271DM Mariana. Powered by Pepsi. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Since 1955, Buddy Gandy's Seafood Market has been providing their customers with the freshest seafood in Panama City. Whether you're cooking something small or hosting a big get-together, Buddy Gandy's has you covered with a variety of fish, oysters, shrimp, crab legs, live blue crabs, a steam bar, and more. They'll even clean your catch for you. Open 7 days a week near the intersection of Beck Avenue and Highway 98. Don't forget to mention 104.3 ESPN for your 10% discount. Visit Buddy Gandy Seafood Market on Facebook.
Put down your natural light. It's time for the Alabama Update. The Alabama Update, weekday mornings at 8. On the Coach James Hale Show at 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Roll. Say it with me, boys. Roll. Tide. Roll. Didn't hear much out of my flanks here.
Just for the record, I didn't do it.
Ethan backed away from the mic just in case he was tempted.
He was faking a cough.
Well, we tried. Alabama Update brought to you every morning on the Coach James Hale Show by Steverson Air Conditioning. Let me tell you something. This summer has been brutal, but Steverson Air Conditioning has always worked, kept us nice and cool here in the studio. This winter, it's going to keep us nice and warm because winter lasts, 3 or 4 days down here?
A week.
But, yeah, Steverson Air Conditioning, they are absolutely number one. If you've got any issues with your unit, give them a call. They'll come out, service it, or better yet, buy yourself a new one. It's about the only thing you can buy this day and age that'll pay for itself. Steverson Air Conditioning. Well, Alabama football update today. Not a whole lot going on, coming out of summer work, preparing for the opener against Utah State, which, as Coach Hale says, watch out for that one. He's scared. Exactly. If we could see Jim's eye roll right now,
Utah
that would be a
State
thing of beauty.
is a pretty good team, but come on.
Got a great coach.
Apples and oranges.
Absolutely. Well, they did talk to Jermaine Burton. Of course, Jermaine Burton, wide receiver for Georgia last year, won a national championship, and then somewhat surprisingly transfers to Alabama coming out of Georgia's national championship season. So they kind of asked him a little bit about his thoughts and about doing that. And he says, look, I was just trying to make the best decision I can for myself and my family. I can't thank this program enough for the way they've welcomed me and brought me in and treated me like I'm one of their own. At this point, I'm just focused on this team and what we can do better. Now, some of that's general player speak, but I think ultimately when you get down to it, Georgia's offense was an offense much more centered around Stetson Bennett dumping the ball to running backs and hitting their tight ends.
Right.
It wasn't a real wide receiver happy offense. And I guess I understand if you're a Jermaine Burton and you've got your national championship, you're trying now to put yourself in a position to
go to the league,
to go to the next level. Yeah, to go to the league. And I think Alabama probably in their current offense presents a better opportunity for that than Georgia does.
Heisman Trophy winner quarterback at Alabama, walk on at Georgia.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a big part of it, although Bennett's played very well.
And Bennett got that ring.
Yeah. But I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah, I think absolutely. I certainly understand the move. Now, Burton had 2 catches in the national championship game for 28 yards. He did draw a big pass interference penalty early, too, which is a skill for wide receivers now as much as catching the ball. But for the year, 26 catches, 497 yards, and 5 touchdowns. And he is expected to maybe be Alabama's #1 receiver this year. There's a couple other guys, a couple transfers in, but Burton and he and Young have been in good sync from all the reports that we've read. So looking forward to what Jermaine Burton will do with his time at Alabama. Now, Stephen A. Smith, Alabama Update, you don't think Stephen A. Smith that often, but Stephen A. Smith, First Take, he's been out for a while, for those of you who watch ESPN in the morning, and he is returning from a medical procedure, and Coach Saban decided to have a little fun with Stephen A. and welcome him back, if you will, to the First Take studio, having just undergone hip surgery himself. And so what Saban said was, Stephen A., we're all happy to have you back on First Take after your surgery, and we're pleased that you're doing well. But there's some question about how much time do you need off? I had my hip replaced, and I was back to work the next day. I guess I realized they just don't make them like they used to, and some people do anything just to get a day off. But good luck, and God bless, my friend.
That's good.
So Coach Saban having a little bit of fun with Stephen A., and Stephen A. actually, enjoyed it, and he sent back, he goes, he's the one person in the world I actually believe to have hip surgery and be back the next day. So I love that man. But yeah, Coach Saban having a little bit of fun with Stephen A. Maybe fun he wouldn't necessarily have with good old Jimbo Fisher. But anyway, the preseason AP, we talked about this just a little bit earlier. The preseason AP poll is out. Alabama is ranked, I'll avoid the suspense because it's the Alabama Update. Alabama is ranked #1 in the preseason poll, receiving 54 of the 63 first-place votes. And we'll go through the poll in just a minute all the way through. But this is Alabama's 13th consecutive year ranked in the top 3 in the preseason AP poll. However, interestingly enough, only once in the Saban era did Alabama start the preseason poll #1 and then go on to win the national championship.
That's hard to believe.
And it was in the 17 season, which they barely made the playoffs.
And
they got the better of Georgia.
Could it be a jinx?
It could be. I mean, it's one of those weird situations. But, again, they did it in the 17 year where they barely made the playoffs. That was the one where they didn't even win the West, but got into the playoffs and then beat Georgia on the 2nd and 26. Happy February 26 to all my Georgia friends. But I thought that was interesting that it's been twice total. I think it happened in the 40s or 50s or something. But only one time in the Saban era have they started the preseason AP poll #1 and gone on to win the national championship. So could that be a bad omen?
I guess there's something to shoot for.
Is that good for Ohio State?
I don't know.
Yeah,
We'll
there you
see.
go. Well, let's go through the poll while we're at it here. Before I do that, real quick, just another note. This is Texas note, but it does affect the Alabama game coming up with Texas in week 2. Now, we reported yesterday I.G. Hall is suspended indefinitely. I have a funny feeling he's going to become.
Is he at Texas or Texas
He is
A&M?
at Texas.
Texas. Okay.
I have a funny feeling he's going to be suspended for 1 game and be eligible for that Alabama game, but we'll see. I mean, he was just trying to break a car boot off his car. Who hasn't tried to do that? But Texas, in their scrimmage, has now lost 2 players due to ACL injuries, unfortunately, and they're gone for the year. 5th-year offensive lineman who has started 34 games on the offensive line, Junior Angelau. I'll go with that. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And Isaiah Nair, who was a Wyoming transfer wide receiver who put up big numbers out there last year and was expected to shoulder some of the load with Xavier Worthy this year and I.G. Hall. He's out for the year again with an ACL. So Texas players dropping like flies ahead of this Alabama tilt, and Texas is not a team that can afford to lose any players going into a big game like that. Well, let's get back to the AP preseason poll. We'll start at the bottom. We'll go at 25, BYU. At number 24, surprising they're this low based on all the hype they're getting, Houston. A lot of people think they may be this year's Cincinnati. Number 23, speak of the devil, Cincinnati. I think that's about right because they lost so much, but I love Fickle as a coach.
Yeah.
So I think,
He's a good guy.
I think they'll be in there. Number 22, I think this was before the news broke, but they have Wake Forest. Without Sam Hartman, I'm not sure they should be ranked.
No. I don't think so.
At number 21, a little low for me. But as a Mississippi State grad, it makes me happy. Number 21, Ole Miss. Wouldn't you think they'd be a little bit higher?
Got to find a quarterback.
Yeah.
You know, Corral was pretty special.
Yeah, I mean, he got a lot of good transfers in. So I'll be kind of interested to see. But, yeah, quarterback's the one question mark that.
Well, and I guess the hard part is they're in the SEC West, and there's 3 SEC West teams ranked ahead of them.
Yeah.
So. At number 20, my surprise team for the East, I actually think this team has a shot at winning 10 games this year, Kentucky.
There you go, Kentucky. Mark Stoops.
Yeah, Will Levis, Chris Rodriguez. They got some good players coming back. Now, they did lose their offensive coordinator, which is a worry. But at number 19, 3 SEC teams in a row, Arkansas. I've got them a lot higher than this, but I understand it.
Yeah.
SEC West again.
It's tough to get to the conference and the division.
Number 18, let's get up to the Great White North, or in this case, the Great Red North, Wisconsin, the Badgers. Seems a little low for them. They're usually around that 12, 13 range every year. Got not a shot. Got a good running game going up there. Number 17, a little high for me, although they do return some a lot of people on the line, but they lost their quarterback, lost their top wide receiver, Pittsburgh. A little surprised to see them this high?
Yeah, I am. They lost a lot.
Yeah, I don't think. No quarterback, receiver.
In the Bolitnikoff Award winner.
Yeah.
Those are big losses.
Number 16, Miami, returning quarterback. We'll see. I mean, there's always a lot of hype around Miami, but they've got a tough schedule.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. Number 15, Michigan State. I got a feeling they drop back. They had such a magical season last year. They may drop back a little bit.
Hey, I'm not a big Michigan State believer. I mean, Ohio State scored like 50 points in them in the first half. I think they're going to be a little lower than that. I think reality's going to get them.
Ethan, number 14, the new darlings, USC, Southern Cal. A lot of new pieces to fit in for Lincoln Riley.
I think that's probably going to be about right. Like, I think they are going to look good and they're going to win some games, but I think they're also going to lose and slip up to a few teams that they probably should beat.
Yeah. Number 13, NC State, getting a lot of love in the ACC. That's probably about right.
Yeah.
Number 12, my pick to win the Big 12 or whatever's left of it, Oklahoma State, Mike Gundy. Started the year unranked last year, made a big run, was about a yard away from winning that conference. Number 11, they've got Oregon. New coach Dan Lanning, that'd be a good finish for him.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah.
Number 10, Baylor, last year's Big 12 champs. Good football team. Dave Aranda's done a good job there.
Yeah, he is.
Number 9, Oklahoma. Oh, a lot of new pieces for Venables. I'm not sure I like them this high.
Yeah, we'll find out. It's going to be crazy. It's going to come down to offense. Can he coach offense?
Number 8, Jim. This one's for you. I'm surprised they're this high. They lost a lot. Michigan.
Yeah, but they're Michigan. They got swag and they got the cachet, so it doesn't surprise me.
We're going to find out if Michigan Eddie's awake this morning.
We'll find out.
Number 7, Utah, got them winning the Pac-12. I think that's probably about right. Tough team, but they start on the road with Florida. Real quick, number 6, of course, we talked about earlier, Texas A&M. Number 5, Notre Dame, because, of course, Notre Dame's always ranked up there. And then we get to the top 4, the teams they think are going to make the playoffs. No surprise who they are. At number 4, they've got Clemson.
Right.
Should be a lot better. Finished the year with 7 wins in a row.
And pronounce the quarterback's name again?
Uyagalale.
Okay.
The thing I found, you say it real fast, people can't tell if you miss it. And number 3, Georgia. Obviously replacing a lot, but replacing it with a lot of good talent.
Right.
Number 2, the Ohio State University.
Right.
A lot of talent on that field.
Yeah, there is.
And then, of course, number 1, as it should be, the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Come back from the dark side. Come on. You're a Stark Vegas guy. You can't say
well, I grew up an Alabama guy, so that's hard to be. It's very similar to James. Went to school in Mississippi, but never lost my... They got a name for winners in the world, as the song says.
That's right.
It's just not me. But anyway, thanks to Steverson Air Conditioning, as always, for sponsoring the Alabama Update. We also want to shout out some more of our great sponsors. Paparazzi Gourmet Deli. Pizza, deli, bakery. You're not going to find better on any 3 anywhere down here. Get out there and see Big John. You will absolutely love it. There are some great desserts in there that you actually have a chance of getting this week because James Hale is gone. And then El Rodeo Tequila, the best new Mexican restaurant in Panama City Beach. It's there on Thomas Drive as well. They have such a fun environment. They get that mariachi band playing. They'll come up to your table. They'll serenade you.
Mariachi band?
They absolutely, yeah, occasionally. I think it's every other Thursday. But, man, it's a lot of fun. And those guys, they have a good time. It is a great environment, wonderful Mexican food. You will love it. El Rodeo Tequila. When we get back, Auburn fans, we're going to talk to the man, the voice of the Auburn Tigers, Andy Burcham, right here on the Coach James Hale Show. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida, the Paul Feinbaum Show.
AC is in Jersey.
Pretty soon, Mr. Feinbaum, you're going to say AC from Canada, because I am moving out there for good. I'm sick and tired of this American, fat American. I hate them. They make me sick.
I think it might be time for AC to get some help and maybe quit calling this.
The Paul Feinbaum Show, weekdays 6 to 10 on 102.1 and 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good Tuesday morning. I'm forecasting spotty showers of thunderstorms today and tonight. Partly sunny during the day, partly cloudy tonight. Highs around 90, lows around 78, and the winds other west-southwest 10 to 15. Water temperature in the Gulf is 87. More showers of thunderstorms Wednesday. This weather forecast has been brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. For 104.3 and 102.1 ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
We know that juicy, cheesy, grilled to perfection burger sounds amazing, but it does sound like something is missing. Pepsi, baby! The yin to this burger's yang. Burgers and Pepsi go together like burgers and Pepsi. This perfect blending of flavors makes every bite of lettuce, every sesame seed on the bun, and every sip of that crisp, refreshing, ice-cold cola a journey to Foodtopia. Burgers, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
Is that the sound of an ooey gooey, cheesy, crunchy slice of P-I-Z-Z-A? Obviously. But as good as that sounds, we think it can get even better. Oh yeah, that's the sound of a freshly opened fizz-filled Pepsi. The only thing that can take this flavor medley of crunchy dough, mouth-watering cheese, and savory sauce to the next level. How about another bite? Pepsi and pizza sound like a match made in heaven and taste even better. Pizza, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
Tiger fans, join us weekday mornings at 8:15. It's the Bay Point Golf Auburn Update on the Coach James Hale Show at 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
War Eagle. Hey, Auburn Update brought to you every morning on the Coach James Hale Show by Bay Point Golf, Ryan Mulvey. Everything they're doing. Those greens are going to reopen. Of course, it was a brutal summer for golf courses, but those greens are going to reopen this Friday. We're going to have the course back playing perfectly this Friday. And then, of course, after you're around, make sure you stick around there at Bar 72. They have got fantastic things going on there. Don't enter the bingo. They've rigged it so Julie wins every week.
Right. It's fixed.
Don't say that. That's not nice.
But you will absolutely love it. The best round of golf you're going to play anywhere down here on the coast, out there at Bay Point, and we love their support of the Auburn Tigers. And speaking of the Auburn Tigers, we have the man himself, the voice of the Auburn Tigers, Andy Burcham, joining us. Andy, how are you doing this morning?
Gentlemen, good morning. I hope it's a beautiful day on the Emerald Coast. It's a lovely day on the Plains. First day of class at Auburn University.
Outstanding. I would have already missed one class by now since it's past 8 a.m., but hopefully the co-eds are doing a little bit better. That's why I was in college for 16 years, Andy, but that's okay.
I understand.
Obviously, all the talk, in the football is going to be right now just based on the work they're getting in, and just had a scrimmage. Were you able to get out to the scrimmage? Any takeaways that you had from that, what you saw on the field?
Well, here's the thing. The first scrimmage was, from what I can gather, was a lot of players got a lot of time. It was not just ones on ones and twos on twos. There were a lot of players, guys, I think they wanted to see as many people as they could get. Kind of reminded me a little bit of a spring game because you see so many players in a game like that. And I thought last week that we may have an idea. I thought we probably have who was going to be the number one quarterback coming out of that scrimmage, and that wasn't the case. I think that TJ Finley had a good first scrimmage for Auburn, and I think at this point they're not ready to name a number one quarterback yet. Auburn will have its second scrimmage Friday afternoon at, I believe, at Jordan-Hare Stadium, and perhaps by that point we'll have a better idea, and by that point then you're 2 weeks away from the opener at that point. So I thought that was the big news, in that there wasn't a starting quarterback named after that first scrimmage. But they go back to the practice field today. Yesterday was their off day, and they go back to the practice field today. They'll practice today, tomorrow, Thursday, and then they'll scrimmage again on Friday, and then they'll practice on Saturday. So I think that was perhaps the big news coming out of that first scrimmage.
Yeah, I listened to Harson's presser after the scrimmage, and he was very, as you would expect, he was very coy on the quarterback situation, though he did say there has been some separation in his mind. So they're clearly leaning one way. Based on the three guys that we're talking about, Finley, Calzada, and Ashford, based on maybe what you've seen or what you hear, maybe what are some kind of strengths that each of them possess, maybe over the other? And if you had to guess, if you don't want to answer, feel free. Who do you think will be the day one starter?
That's the golden question. I'll answer the first part of your question initially, though. For Finley, I think he has taken a step forward from a leadership perspective. He has also started in an Auburn uniform. He has more experience in an Auburn uniform than the other, and he started LSU. He was Auburn's starter at the end of last season after Bo Nix was injured with the broken ankle. And I think that TJ has helped himself since the spring. Zach Calzada is probably the best pure passer of all of them. After a year at Texas A&M, and he comes to Auburn, he has a very good arm. He took part in spring, but not in full contact gear. Did not practice or did not play in the spring game, dealing with an injury. And now he is back to full health and trying to get that starting spot. Robbie Ashford is a guy probably that's made more of a move than anybody else, and it still may be that he's not the starting quarterback. The transfer from Oregon, who played, and I thought played well in the spring game, but again, that's a spring game, right? Mm-hmm. But he is different in that he is much more of an athlete at the quarterback spot. A very good arm, good size at 6'3", and he is an extraordinary runner. He gives you that part of the package that really Finley and Calzada don't possess at this point. So there's the three guys and the three strengths of those guys.
Do you think it's like? Go ahead.
I think if Auburn were playing tomorrow against Mercer, just judging from what Coach Harsin said after the scrimmage last week, it would be T.J. Finley.
Yeah.
However, I mean, they're still, they're through the fall camp. Now they're into it's not game week, but I mean, they're into the practices during school now. It's the routine that they'll have for the rest of this season. And there's a lot of time. And who knows, coming out of that second practice, if the tone about the quarterbacks is the same as it was after Saturday night's practice and scrimmage.
Yeah, I agree. Do you think it's likely, because of the flash and because of the high-end ability that he has, that even if he's not the starter, that Auburn designs a couple of plays, short yardage, goal line situations for a Robbie Ashford?
Yeah, and Coach Harsin hasn't said anything about that, but if you read the tea leaves, I wouldn't be at all surprised, because he gives you a guy down near the goal line that not only can look to the end zone for the pass, but also can get out of the pocket and may just be designed to run all the way. He has that kind of ability. Now, listen, Auburn's tailback room is really deep right now with Bigsby and Hunter and Sean Jackson, Damari Olson, the freshman, who got some special care, and Coach Harsin talked about Olson after that first scrimmage, and Jordan Ingram played. They played 5 tailbacks in that first scrimmage. So it's not as though Auburn doesn't have some depth and talent at tailback, but Ashford gives you, in a quarterback, a guy that in a short yardage situation, especially at the goal line, that gives you some options there at the quarterback spot.
You know, it was interesting listening to Harsin, and the thing he kept coming back to was players who were very smart on the field, who knew where to be and what to do, and he kept hitting that. And I get the sense, the more I listen to him this year versus last year, that he's got a team of players that buy into his system, that he doesn't seem to have those outliers. And then building on that, kind of that mindset, because obviously you've got to have the right mindset going into a season, especially with everything that happened off the field. For the second year in a row, Andy, Auburn's not preseason AP ranked. Do you think that's something I'm sure the coaching staff's going to use, and maybe the Auburn players come into the season with a chip on their shoulder, or how does that play?
I don't think there's any question there's a chip on the shoulder, and for a number of reasons. Not only is it the fact that the media has picked Auburn to finish last in the SEC West, and it is not, although getting votes, that is not in either the coaches or the AP poll, the top 25. Because, listen, in years past, guys, when Auburn has played its best, especially the last 25 years, it's those seasons where Auburn wasn't expected to do anything. That's kind of the Auburn way, isn't it?
Yeah.
And to piggyback on what you said about what Coach Harsin said about where guys are supposed to be, he took it one step further, especially when dealing with the quarterbacks. It's not only that they know what they're supposed to do, but they need to know where everybody is supposed to be. So if the tailback comes out of the huddle and lines up wrong, they've got to be the guy that puts him in the right spot. And if they don't, that's on the quarterback as much as it is on the tailback or a tight end or somebody like that. So I thought that was it gave you a glimpse into what he expects of his quarterbacks. And he expects his quarterbacks to lead. He expects his quarterbacks to be smart, especially on the field, and to be in complete control physically and mentally of that offense.
Absolutely. Got to be good news for the Tigers seeing Anders Carlson. You never like to see a kicker coming back from a leg injury, but coming back and kicking well and all like that, that's got to be a good sign for Auburn.
Well, I love Auburn's kicking game right now, and Carlson is among the very best out there. I mean, this will be the 8th year that there's been a Carlson kicking at Auburn. Excuse me.
Almost as long as Stan White was the quarterback at Auburn.
That's exactly right. And then you've got Oscar Chapman, who was outstanding in his freshman season, averaged 44 yards a punt at 23 punts inside the 20 a year ago. I love Auburn's game. The thing about Carlson's injury, the fortunate thing about Carlson's injury, is that the knee that was injured was his plant knee. It was not the kicking knee. It was his left knee. And he's been wearing a brace, and maybe wearing a brace for a while.
Yeah.
And but it doesn't appear that it has affected his kicking. He was perfect in the scrimmage the other night, and still has the range that we've come to know from a Carlson kicker at Auburn.
Well, Andy, I wish we could do this all day because I could talk Auburn football with you all morning, but unfortunately we've got a break coming up. But we hope to talk with you again next week on all things going on the Plains. We'll see you next week.
Guys, take care. Have a great day. War Eagle.
War Eagle, my friend. Thank you. That's the great Andy Burcham, the voice of the Auburn Tigers, and you can listen to Auburn Tigers football right here on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Just turn the volume on the TV down and let Andy paint you a picture, even more beautiful than you watch yourself. Well, thanks again to Bay Point Golf for sponsoring our Auburn Update as they do every single day here. We really appreciate Bay Point, and we appreciate the Auburn Tigers. We come back, more college football talk on the Coach James Hale Show, 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is your captain speaking. Thank you for flying with ESPN Northwest Florida. Please return to your seats, buckle up, and prepare for launch.
And will lay down. Base hit. Here comes Ronald. Braves win it.
The defending world champion Atlanta Braves are sponsored by Bilberg Kia, Beltway Portable Buildings, Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, Ellis Agency Insurance, and ESPN Northwest Florida. And we apologize for any turbulence you've experienced this season with the Atlanta Braves.
Great design is timeless, and that's why Tracy's Fine Jewelry inside Coin and Bullion Reserves offers a stunning selection of vintage, antique, estate jewelry on sale now at 40% off. Exquisite Victorian rings, Art Deco diamond brooches, Georgian and Art Deco bracelets, earrings, and pendants. These one-of-a-kind pieces add personality to any ensemble, and now at 40% off. Find your timeless treasure at Tracy's Fine Jewelry inside Coin and Bullion Reserves.
Let's face it, nobody wants to deal with the hassle of replacing or repairing a roof. At Extreme Roofing and Construction, they help you avoid the headache so you can enjoy your roof stress-free. Extreme Roofing and Construction works with your HOA for approvals, permits, and even helps with insurance to get your roof repaired within 2 weeks. For over 20 years, Extreme Roofing and Construction has helped residential and commercial clients resolve their roofing needs quickly and efficiently. For more info or to book an appointment, visit ExtremeRoofingPros.com. License number CGC 1511861-CCC1329126.
Since 1989, Bestway Portable Buildings has been serving this area. They can build anything from storage buildings to workshops, game rooms, garages, carports, custom designed buildings from 8x8 up to 24x48. Even pole barns to cover motorhomes, heavy equipment, or farm equipment. Bestway Portable Buildings, Highway 231, just down from Hart's Marine. On the internet at bestwayportablebuildings.com. Come grab a cup of coffee with us and discuss your next building.
Shocking news in the world of heavy metal. One of the hardest bands on the planet is about to release a children's record. Songs slated to appear on the album include A Tisket a Tasket, Hey Diddle Diddle, and The Hokey Pokey. Let's listen to a sneak preview. Here's Ring Around the Rosie, performed by the one and only...
Please deposit 25 cents for the next 3 minutes.
Radio. You shouldn't have to pay for it. This message brought to you by 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
College football isn't life and death. It's much more important than that. Now back to the Coach James Hale Show inside the J. Michaels Studio. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Coach James Hale Show, back at you on a Tuesday morning. What's turning into a nice Tuesday morning. Didn't start that way. But then Ethan Boyd made it all beautiful for us.
Always.
Thank you, Ethan. We
He always
appreciate
does
that.
with that magic little brown
That's
bag.
right. Brian Haddad sitting in, Ethan Boyd, Jim Barrant, Big John. Everybody's in here this morning. Just talked to the great Andy Burcham. Well, now we're going to go into looking ahead at the newcomers to college football this year. And usually that would just mean freshmen. And it would usually mean they've been on campus for about a day.
Right.
Now they've been on campus for 6-7 months, and we've got transfers to consider.
Yeah.
It's full free agency.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I'm telling you something. But so we're going to look at the top 50 newcomers to college football programs. And we're going to, once we get to the top 10, we're going to cover them all. But along the way, we're just going to highlight maybe the guys of some local note or SEC flair, if you will.
All right.
That'll thrill Jim there.
That's all right.
Yeah. So anyway, coming in at number 42, we have safety Malachi Starks. Now, he was ranked the number 12 overall player in last year's ESPN 300, five-star athlete, obviously. And if you're a five-star athlete and projected to get significant playing time and maybe start as a freshman on Georgia's defense,
that's saying a lot.
That is saying a lot. So make sure you look out Malachi Starks there. He's going to be something with that Georgia defense, and he is number 42. And my list is thick here, so it's going to take me a while. But I will say at number 36, because this is a name I think may get some pub toward the end of the year. Cade Klubnik, quarterback for Clemson. And not so much, but he's a great player. And Klubnik. Or Klubnik or something like that.
Klubnik.
Number 29 overall, ESPN 300. But DJ Uiagalelei has struggled at Clemson.
Yeah, he has.
So DJ will be the day one starter. Will he be the end of the season starter? Or will Dabo give the reins to a freshman? It's kind of the similar question, Ethan, I asked you as regarded to Connor Wegman with A&M. Yeah. Obviously, you'd love to get the extra year out of him if you could, but can you see a scenario where this kid is playing at the end of the year for Clemson?
Yeah, I can. Because I think he's the future. And I think it's one of those things, too, if the other guy ends up being the guy, Cade's going to transfer out.
Yeah.
He's not going to sit behind him for 3 years.
And if you remember, when Trevor Lawrence was at Clemson, that's exactly what happened. He didn't start the year, and then about a game or two in, Dabo made the change, and it was wasn't the same.
Moved on from Kelly Bryant to Trevor Lawrence. Absolutely did. Well, Jim, I'll throw you a little love here. Number 35, defensive back Tanner McAllister, transferred to Ohio State from Oklahoma State.
Right.
Did this have anything to do with a defensive coordinator move,
yes,
do you think?
Absolutely. That was kind of a package deal. I don't know if it was presented like that, but when Jim Knowles came and he was looking for another program, it kind of makes sense. I guess the guy knows everything about the defense, so that helps the transition for the other players.
Yep, Gundy's loss is Ryan Day's win. At number 33, defensive end Michael Williams, another top recruit, ESPN 300 ranked number 24, once again going to the Georgia Bulldogs. Trying to get in on that defense is good, but man, when you are talent like that, and Georgia lost a lot of players off of that defense, he may get some significant playing time, though I don't believe he will start on their defensive line. Number 32, wide receiver Luther Burden III, Missouri. This was huge news when he committed and then signed to Missouri. He was ESPN's number 5 ranked athlete last year coming out of high school. And you don't usually
He's from Missouri, isn't he?
And you don't usually see those guys go to Missouri, but obviously, well, East St. Louis, Illinois might as well be. But yes.
Right across the river, right.
Right. But yeah, he is 6'1", 195, and they love his game. So as long as they can find somebody to get him the ball, that's going to be a big, big pickup for Missouri. I'm going to note number 29, Isaiah Nair, who was a transfer from Wyoming to Texas. Of course, we just announced out for the season with the ACL injury. So, because Texas has a lot of people on this list that were coming in. Number 25 and number 24, both FSU transfers in. Running back Trey Benson came in from Oregon. Big pickup for the Seminoles, and he is absolutely showing out in spring and summer. So good pickup there. And then, of course, the guy we've talked about plenty, Jared Verse. the defensive lineman who transferred in from Albany. What I'm hearing is he's kind of becoming the heart of that defense as well.
Right.
Leader on the field. Loves to trash talk during practice.
That's what I saw.
Yeah.
There's a lot of trash talking.
Yeah, but it was interesting. They say he doesn't like to do it during games, but he likes it during practice for raising the energy of everybody around him. So, and they said he'll even have a go at some of the coaches sometimes. So, you're gonna do that, you better be able to back it up.
How does a guy coming out of high school end up at Albany State, and then for whatever reason doesn't work out and shows out at Florida State? I mean,
it's got to be
recruiting is an inexact science, man. It really is.
It is, but I guess it could be a situation like famously in basketball with Dennis Rodman. He went into college and grew, I think, 6 inches after he got to college. So he went from like a 6'3" guy to like a 6'9" guy in college. So it could be something like that. But, yeah, you don't expect people to go to Albany and then get on to where – and it wasn't just that Florida State got him. Everybody wanted him.
Right, exactly.
So he was a big-time player, and he will be big for the Seminoles this year. Ethan's starting to smile. Here we go. Number 22, defensive tackle Walter Nolan, number 1 overall ranked player in ESPN 300's ranking. If you believe Coach Saban, cost him a pretty penny, but is he going to be worth whatever he was given? What do you think, Ethan? Big pickup for the Aggies.
It's one of those things. They're so deep. I mean, there's going to be an 8 to 10 man rotation on that line, so he's not going to get as many snaps as I guess you would probably imagine. But I mean, I think he's going to be every bit worth it. I hope.
Yep, absolutely. At number 20, defensive lineman Mekhi Wingo. He's coming to LSU to play for Brian Kelly. He transferred within the conference. There'll be some hurt feelings here. He went from Missouri to LSU. Another good player. Again, if you're on the eye of LSU, you got to be doing something right. So, good deal for him. Number 17, we just talked about a couple of good things for Florida State. Boy, this wasn't one of them. Number 17, defensive back Travis Hunter, going to Jackson State to play for Dion.
Playing for Dion.
Of course, this was huge news when he flipped his longtime commitment to FSU and decided he was going to go play for Dion. And, of course, there was some NIL involved there and everything. But number 2 ranked player in the country, according to ESPN. Some services had him the number 1. I mean, did we overstate how big a deal this was for a guy like this to go to Jackson State, or is this pretty big news?
No, I think it's pretty big news. There's a part of me that says that's kind of a mistake because, yeah, you're a great player, and, yeah, you have a great talent, and you have a great resume coming out of high school, but who are you going to play against? The level of competition. That's not to say that there aren't going to be good players he's going to play against, but it's certainly not going to be ACC every week competition or SEC or Big Ten or whatever. That's just me.
Ethan, what do you think?
We'll
does he end up playing all his time at Jackson State and then go to the NFL, or does he transfer to a big school before he goes to the NFL?
I think as long as Dion is in Jackson State, I think he stays there.
All right, let me give you a scenario.
Okay.
We talked about this a lot. Let's say it doesn't work out for what's the guy at
Norvell
at Florida State. Yeah. Let's say he wins 4 games and they whack him, and Dion comes. Does this Hunter kid follow him to Florida State? I think he would.
100%.
I think he would too.
I think 100%.
The bigger question is
his son too,
and I think I know the answer to this. So Florida State fans obviously were not very happy with Mr. Hunter when he changed his commitment. Let's say that does happen and he comes. Do they accept him with open arms because he's so talented?
Absolutely.
You don't think there's any hurt feelings in the deal?
Yeah, none.
Sounds good to me.
No, I think
just lucky to get the player.
Yeah, I think if Dion stays there, I think he stays there. But if Dion moves to Florida State, he'll follow him.
Interesting. Number 16, offensive tackle Will Campbell, ESPN 300, number 14 ranked player, going to LSU. Going to need him to protect those quarterbacks now because we're down 1. Miles Brennan not going to be there. Looks like Jaden Daniels going to be the starter to transfer in from Arizona State. But offensive, you can't ever have enough good offensive linemen.
That's true.
So, Will Campbell going to LSU, that's a big pickup for them. Kind of a notable guy, Casey Thompson, quarterback who was at Texas, maybe saw the writing on the wall. Quinn Ewers coming in, and Hudson Card, I think, is the other quarterback there. Yeah. So he's left. He's going to go play for Scott Frost at Nebraska, who lost his quarterback to the transfer portal as well. So I think Casey Thompson with Scott Frost, if that combination works, this could be a big move for him in his career because you can never have, same thing. You never have enough good quarterbacks. What do you think? Scott Frost, does he get it together? I mean, they lost a lot of close ball games.
Honestly, I mean, I like Scott Frost. He seems like a good guy and everything, but to me, he's a dead man walking.
Wow.
I think this is his last year there. I really do. I mean, they won 3 games in Nebraska, and they were close, and they were improved, but they still, it's a get it done business, and he hasn't got it done. He's only got one winning season as a head coach. One.
Yeah, I think that just the Big Ten competition is too. His team's just not good enough.
Yeah. When we come back, we're going to finish this list and talk over other things hitting there, but I want to do a quick shout out. All of the sponsors who make this show so great: Jay Michaels, Blue Sky Express Car Wash, Dr. Chad Mitchell, Dat Cajun Place is back with us, Buffalo Rock, Dr. Ward with Dermatology Specialist, Chuck Turner, South Oak Title, easy for me to say, Max Fit Sports Nutrition, Paparazzi, El Rodeo Tequila, Newbie, Steverson, Bay Point, and the man himself is here, Rudy's Barbecue, Ethan Boyd. Ethan, what's going on down there at Rudy's today?
Yeah, today's just another Tuesday, breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
What am I going to eat today, turkey or brisket?
I bet you go turkey.
I think I'm going to go turkey as well.
Bacon.
We come back, we're going to finish up this list of the top newcomers, and we're going to close it on down for the Coach James Hale Show, 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Weather in Northwest Florida can change on a dime.
Gale force winds bombarded with heavy rain.
That's why 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida has the most up-to-date forecast on the Gulf Coast. Hi, this is staff meteorologist Tim Root with over 40 years of experience. I know just how fast we can go from sun and fun to a serious situation. For the most accurate and detailed weather when it matters, rely on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Good Tuesday morning. I'm forecasting spotty showers of thunderstorms today and tonight. Partly sunny during the day, partly cloudy tonight. Highs around 90, lows around 78, and the winds are west-southwest 10 to 15. Water temperature in the Gulf is 87. More showers of thunderstorms Wednesday. This weather forecast has been brought to you by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. For 104.3 and 102.1 ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
Let the adventures begin in a new Kia from Bill Bird Kia. Now offering 3.49% APR up to 48 months on the purchase of a new 2022 Kia Sorento. You can expand your horizons and ride your next chapter with confidence in the outgoing and adventurous 2022 Kia Sorento that has the perfect balance of comfort, safety, performance, and technology. Bill Bird Kia is the home of the 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by and see us at 2435 East 15th Street or anytime at BillBirdKia.com. We make buying a car easy and give you the peace of mind that you can trust.
Offer from KMF for the purchase of a new 2022 Sorento with $22.36 per month per 1,000 financed at 48 months. Quantities limited. No down payment required. Cannot be combined with other finance offers. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is a Bill Bird Kia warranty. See dealer for complete details. Offer for well-qualified buyers. Plus take delivery from dealer stock through 9/6/22.
You think of your favorite shows. They're local. Folks in your neighborhood. Yeah, that's right. They're right there with you. Reporting on your weather, driving on your streets and roads, experiencing what your community experiences. They are literally your lifeline to all that matters to you. They bring you sports, your sports, the games as they happen. Your local broadcaster is there on the radio, just for you. We are broadcasters.
The number one SEC call-in show is now twice as big. It's double the Paul Feinbaum Show. Weeknights starting at 6.
Okay, but also go faster.
Now back to the Coach James Hale Show inside the J. Michaels Studio. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
We should have played this when we talked about the SEC coaches fight. Last segment, Coach James Hale Show. Some of you are saying, thank God, last segment. We've had a good time this morning. Ethan and Jim and John and Brian Haddad sitting in. We're going to do this again. We're going to finish up this list right now with the top 50 newcomers. And again, not just freshmen, but also transfers in. In fact, that's going to dominate most of the rest of the list going forward. Well, when we left off, we were talking about Scott Frost. Jim says he's done. Dead man walking.
That's what I think.
Unfortunately, I think you may be right. Wide receiver, number 12. We talked about him earlier, Jermaine Burton. Made what a lot of people thought was a controversial move. I think it makes perfect sense. Transferring from the national champion Georgia Bulldogs in conference over to the Alabama Crimson Tide. This is a big pickup for Alabama, who lost, like they do every year, a couple of wide receivers high to the draft. And then some of the young talent, if you will, kind of talked themselves out of a job at Alabama, moved on. So it was actually a need, and Bama picked up 2 transfer receivers. Burton, probably the more known commodity of these. This, obviously, big pickup for Alabama.
Right. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I think it was a good play. I mean, they lost so much at wide receiver last year. I think it was they had to get somewhere to get immediate production in. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, everybody knows Mechie and Jamison Williams, but Slade Bolden also decided to leave. And, maybe not the most athletic, but he was a go-to guy. He was kind of
got
Bryce's,
open and caught the ball.
Yeah, he was kind of his safety valve, if you will. And then, like I talked about, Aji Hall and Javon Baker both kind of talked themselves out of jobs with their impatience, if you will. But then Burton coming in, Louisville transfer Tyler Harrell. Harrell's going to be kind of a stretch the field kind of guy. Burton's going to be more the solid possession, good route runner. Well, let's get to the top 10 here, and we'll start with another SEC player. Whew, let's love him or hate him on this guy. Quarterback, Spencer Rattler, South Carolina. Big pickup, certainly, for South Carolina in terms of elevating their talent, because last year they had the GA playing at quarterback. Yeah, but a lot of people not sold on Rattler, Jim. What do you think?
When I saw Rattler play at Oklahoma, I didn't know what all the excitement's about. I mean, he was okay, but he wasn't up to the other Oklahoma level like Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray and them guys. I mean, them guys were outstanding.
Yeah.
And he just wasn't at that level. And maybe he'll do well. I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of think his first year at OU was more of a he looked so good because of its OU's system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see how he does in South Carolina. I mean, big SEC defenses are different. This is not Big 12 football anymore, and so that's what I'm interested to see. I know Shane Beamer's really high on him, but I think also you're gonna say that about your starting quarterback. You're not gonna bash him and say, "Hey, my transfer's not as good as I
he's not
thought."
really very good, but we don't have any other choice, so we're gonna play him.
You know what's crazy?
That's true. That's a good point.
365 days ago, you know who the Vegas favorite for the Heisman was? Spencer Rattler.
Yep, sure was.
Number 9. I think this one should be higher personally because this guy is going to be a stud. Jahmyr Gibbs transfers from Georgia Tech to Alabama. He put up huge numbers at Georgia Tech.
Right.
With their lack of offensive line and their lack of offense.
I was going through the channels this week, and there was a ACC network, and it was Georgia Tech versus like Virginia or something. It was like a nondescript game. But Gibbs, it's like, I never really, because he plays for Georgia Tech. You don't see him very often. Like, man, I was really impressed. I said, I understand now why Alabama wanted him.
Absolutely.
Because he's really good.
And he kind of fills that Brian Robinson role of being able to do everything. He blocks well,
really
catches the ball well, runs the ball well.
He's
Big
really,
pickup.
Real deal.
Number 7, Ochoan Mathis. Everybody knows him, right? Defensive end. I think we're going to know him, but he transferred to Nebraska from TCU. And I think this says more about, and I've talked about this before, I think TCU is going to struggle this year. Gary Patterson was there a long time, and the way he was pushed out was not good.
No.
And I think Sonny Dykes going to have a job to do some work there. So I think a lot of people left were unhappy with that. But this is a great, talented defensive end who's going up to Scott Frost. Maybe help him save his job. Number 6, defensive back Brandon Joseph. How about this? Got to be smart to do this either way. Transfers from Northwestern to Notre Dame. Good player. Obviously, Marcus Freeman got a defensive mindset himself. But coming into that defensive backfield, take up for some of the loss of Kyle Hamilton, guys like that. But, Northwestern, Fitzgerald does a great job coaching there, but obviously Notre Dame, significantly better environment for him to apply his trade. Number 5, another big transfer into Alabama. 3 of the top 12 transfers in. Eli Ricks from LSU to Alabama, big-time talented defensive back. Long as we keep him from driving in the state of Mississippi and getting arrested, we should be okay. But this guy's got a ton of talent, and you don't see a lot of players go from Alabama to LSU. That's kind of a bitter rivalry. Right. So what do you think here, Jim? Big pickup?
Oh yeah, absolutely. If he can keep himself out of trouble, it'd be a great pickup. No question.
Yeah,
he can play.
I think Saban's kind of he's playing the game, It's transfer portal's a thing, and Saban knows he can get him. So he's done a good job with it.
I will offer Eli some advice. When you're in the SEC, never drive in any other state than the state that you're playing for. Because them highway patrolmen, they're fans.
Hey, where you going, boy? You're going kind of fast, ain't you? You better slow it on down there,
That's right. Number 4, this is a big pickup, I think. Quarterback Dylan Gabriel transferring to Oklahoma from UCF. Now, he's a great player. Lefty quarterback, very good, very accurate, played really well in UCF's system, taking over for Mackenzie Milton when he went down for that injury. But more importantly, he's reunited now with Jeff Lebby, who was his offensive coordinator at UCF, who had been at Ole Miss for a year. Now Jeff Lebby and Dylan Gabriel are together at Oklahoma. This could be pretty exciting against Big 12 defenses.
That'll help.
What do you think, Ethan?
Yeah, I'm interested to see what kind of offense Venables does, because I don't think he's going to be so pass heavy as Lincoln Riley was, and Stoops. So I think he might bring it. They might bring it down a little bit. I think that would actually help Dylan Gabriel a lot.
This next one I think is way too high because I don't think he's going to be the starter. And that's Jackson Dart, quarterback, transferred to Ole Miss from USC. Now, it's still between him and Luke Altmaier, who I haven't been a fan of, not just because he grew up in Starkville and went to Ole Miss. I just haven't seen it out of him, but everything I'm hearing tells me it's probably Altmaier over Jackson Dart. So while he's got the name and he was another one of those USC quarterbacks that now are strewn all over the country.
Right.
Keaton Slovis is at Pitt, JT Daniels, West Virginia, I think, and Jackson Dart now at Ole Miss. That seems a little high for someone who's not guaranteed to be the starter, don't you think?
You would think.
Yeah, I'm not sold on him either. I don't think he starts.
Yeah. No surprise here because they did make all the noise, but the top 2 newcomers are at the team that's full of newcomers, including their head coach, Lincoln Riley, USC. It's probably just a matter of which would you rank 1 or 2. Yeah. But they've got number 2 wide receiver Jordan Addison, the Biletnikoff Award winner last year at Pitt with Kenny Pickett. And then at number 1, Caleb Williams, the highly touted but little suspect at times quarterback from Oklahoma who took Spencer Rattler's job, actually. So obviously these are 2 huge pickups for USC, and so is Lincoln Riley. But where do you rank these? Do you like Williams at 1, Addison at 2, or would you flip it?
It's kind of hard to have a success without the other one because you got the quarterback throwing to the receiver. But, that receiver, that Addison, was really special last year. I mean, I don't know how many catches he had, but he had a ton. Of course, he had an NFL kind of guy throwing him the ball. That helps, too.
Absolutely.
But Caleb Williams is really good, too. So I don't know. I think Williams is a really good runner, too. And I think that's something that USC really hasn't had very much of. Matt Leinart will just get back there and wing it. And Sam Darnold wasn't much of a runner either. So we'll see. I think they're going to be good, though. A lot better than they've been.
Obviously, the familiarity of Caleb Williams with Lincoln Riley should play in huge.
Right.
And, Lincoln Riley, we're going to find out now how much of it was him and how much of it was Baker and Kyler and those guys coming in because – I mean, he went against Big 12 defenses. I'm not sure the Pac-12 defenses are much better outside of Utah, maybe Oregon. But when you go up against Arizona State, you go up against UCLA, that's something else. Well, that John's waving at me or showing me numbers or telling me I'm number 1. That's what most people do. But anyway, I do think, obviously, USC won the transfer market. Alabama right there with them, though, but it'll be something else. Well, we're gone. See you tomorrow. Coach James Hale Show, 104.3.
ESPN Northwest Florida is your touchdown headquarters for the Mosley Dolphins and the Auburn Tigers.
Touchdown, Auburn!
Plus, premier college and NFL games. Your source for the most live football on the Gulf Coast in a rich audio experience. 102.1, 104.3 in the ESPN Northwest Florida app.
Good Tuesday morning. I'm forecasting spotty showers and thunderstorms today and tonight. Partly sunny during the day, partly cloudy tonight. Highs around 90, lows around 78, and the winds either west-southwest 10 to 15.